You see, ladies and gentlemen, when I talked about Doctor Who literally just like one video ago, I literally said that when you try to divide people purposefully, this is what ends up causing you issues. It's not about making decisions that might end up dividing people naturally because, like I said, you're not going to make every fan happy. I think that's literally impossible. But you have another example here from Bounding Into Comics. What happens when you have a showrunner that goes by the name Russell T Davies purposely trying to divide the fan base that he no longer has and is actively losing by the millions?
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
So we have an article here from Bounding Into Comics with a headline that reads, Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies dismisses critics of his decision to focus series on queer themes and says in the dark little corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. So apparently, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure he's probably referencing social media to some extent, most likely X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And he's trying to make it seem as if Twitter is not a real place. And it's not, okay? Twitter is absolutely not a real place. The problem, though, is that discussion does also happen in real life. And you know that happens because in this scenario, you don't get the option to be able to say that the public discourse on Twitter is not going to affect your show because it flat out has been able to affect your show by 2 million plus viewers. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Doctor Who is not in a good place. No matter who you are, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, you cannot look at the current season of Doctor Who and tell yourself or tell anybody else's shills for whatever you might show for that Doctor Who is in a good place. The previous worst viewership for Doctor Who belonged to Jodie Whittaker, the female doctor, right? It was somewhere within 4 to 5 million views per episode. Ncuti Gatwa is at 2.2 to 2.5 million views per episode. They have lost half of what their previous worst numbers were. Your viewership is literally dwindling. This is not a clickbait title. This is not like an exaggerated YouTube big caps lock, title. No, it's true. You are literally plummeting. Your viewership is plummeting, and you're over here making interviews trying to apparently make things worse. Like, I just don't understand the idea behind it. But again, we're talking about studios that are subsidized by rich organizations that once you follow the money and you go down the rabbit hole, you will find out a lot of information. It says, in the opinion of showrunner Russell T Davies, the bevy of criticisms leveled against and towards his decision to make queer themes a central focus of Doctor Who are not only inconsequential, but ultimately detached from fan sentiment in their real world. If that was the case, you would not have lost 2 million plus viewers. Flat out. Davies offered his defense on this latest take of the Time Lord during a May 2024 interview given to Collider's Samantha Casey in promotion of Doctor Who's return to the airwaves, at one point making note of how the show just keeps leaning more into queer themes in everything, especially since the specials. Casey eventually asked Davies if he could speak about leaning into that more intentionally, to which the showrunner replied, "It's funny, because to be absolutely honest, it's almost not that deliberate because that's the life that I lead. I wrote a series called Queer as Folk in 1999 that broke down many barriers, and I'm not going to step back from that." He continued, "In fairness, no one's ever asked me to step back from that, and I just think it doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It feels natural. It's 2024, and we're all embracing this. Twitter might kick off, and in dark little corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. The real world is one of acceptance and with battles to be fought and votes to be gained." So again, they're trying to make this into a voting thing, right? Because we're in the election year. The conversation is going to swing in that direction. That's just to be obvious. Now, when it comes to the first paragraph, the fact that he's trying to say that it's not deliberate, ladies and gentlemen, it's fucking deliberate, okay? There's no way that you transform Doctor Who from what it was previously to what it is now without some sort of deliberate meaning, right? Especially when you were the showrunner on the previous Doctor Who seasons, and now all of a sudden this one has become ultra progressive, ultra leftist, ultra gay, especially since it comes out during election year, not only for the US, but for many different countries. Yeah, don't miss me with that nonsense, man. This was 100% deliberate and very obviously so. And then he's talking about the fact that everybody's embracing it, apparently. It's 2024. Everybody embraces gayness and whatnot. That's not the case, man. You want to pretend as if the entire world is progressive. That has been proven to be completely false. If the entire world was progressive and it was 2024 and everybody's embracing it, and that's just a normal thing to do now, then you would not be having to constantly push it down people's throats and tell people to go vote, 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 because there would be no reason to vote. There will be nothing going against your cause, so to speak, right? So when you're talking about LGBTQ activism, yeah, there's a lot of people that are going against it for many different reasons, and most of it has absolutely nothing to do with gay people in general. It just has to do with what the activists in that community are deciding to do, especially to children that have a lot of issues for a lot of people. It says, closing out his thoughts on the topic, Davies added, "I'm not naive to the problems that exist, but God, it's a more welcoming world. In schools, we now have people that can come out and be happy and thrive, which when I was that age was literally impossible," he asserted. "So that's got to be a better world. So I simply write quite naturally. I don't think about it that much. That is my world, and I'm trusted by my bosses to put my world and my writing on screen." So you're self-inserting. You're essentially admitting that you are self-inserting yourself now into Doctor Who because it's 2024. It's time to make Doctor Who gay, and you need to self-insert yourself into this. And it's amazing that you chose Ncuti Gatwa in order to do it. Perhaps you wish you were a black male to some extent. I really don't know. But you basically admitted you self-inserted, which, again, when you do that, when you start self-inserting yourself like Kim Belair from Sweet Baby Inc., yeah, it becomes a problem. A lot of people are pretty much obviously able to pick up on that, and they'll call you out for it. It says, notably, Davies is not the first production member of Doctor Who whose latest season to specifically dismiss critics of the series' new queer direction. Asked by Slate's Isabel Kliger what kind of responses they expected to their casting as newly introduced villain the Maestro would draw, transgender drag queen Jinx Monsoon declared, "Russell T. Davies brought Doctor Who to everyone. He brought it back because he was passionate about it. To the people who have issues, the show that you love was created by a queer person. Get over it." Well, you know what? I think a lot of people got over it. I think it's fair to say that. I think we're at this point where people have gotten so over it that they've moved on. I think that's perfectly fair. You know, it's amazing that they say stuff like this, right? Oh, because he brought Russell T. Davies brought Doctor Who to everyone. Really? So he brought it to everyone, and yet the numbers from David Tennant at 10 million have now dwindled to 2 to 2.5 million viewers. Yeah, he definitely brought it to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. He brought it to everyone so much that he's lost about 3/4 of the viewership from your prime. Yeah, that's definitely bringing it to everyone. So it looks like, unfortunately, Doctor Who, like I said, for you fans out there of Doctor Who, I feel bad for you guys because now you got to deal with this nonsense and you got to deal with the actual, literal, figuratively speaking, the worst fucking doctor in history. This man is going to have a shit stain on his record as Doctor Who, and it's going to be the lowest viewed, lowest received doctor ever. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.